I want you to know that it's currently 105 degrees out there. So I'm doing tests on the van AC and monitoring energy use. But there's no way I'm doing videos in that heat. Not even for all of you lifers out there. But this heat has gotten me thinking about energy consumption. You know, volts, amps, and watts. They deal with energy and help define it, but in the end, how useful is it to know all of that? It's definitely useful to an electrician or someone trying to sell you a van because of its massive amount of power. But for most people, do these terms really tell you much of anything? If you've seen some of my videos, or the hundreds of videos that talk about energy, you know that amps can be seen as the amount of energy you have stored, while volts is the thing that allows that energy to move from one place to another. You might have heard of the lake and river analogy, where the amount of water in the lake is your amps and the flow of the river is the volts. Remember, this is an analogy, so it isn't perfect, but it gets the point across. To get the actual amount of power you have, you multiply volts and amps to get watts. Fairly simple if you like math and you've made it this far into the video. So a 12-volt battery that is rated at 1000 amps has 12,000 watts of power. So we're done. Everything is mathematically perfect and I can end the video right now, right? Well, not so fast. Who said your 12-volt battery was actually 12 volts? That is nothing but a shorthand, used to denote a type of battery. You see, voltage fluctuates depending on demand, like when you first start up your AC. This fluctuation can vary anywhere from 9 to 11% or so. I looked up the voltage for a lithium-ion battery, and they rate the voltage at 12.8 volts. Well, that isn't 12 volts, is it? And if you look at the specs, you'll see charge voltage. It's rated at 14.4 volts. This is the battery voltage when the battery is fully charged. You'll also see something called float charge voltage, with a range from 13.4 to 13.6 volts. This is a maintenance voltage after the battery is fully charged. And when I looked up the master volt battery specs, I saw that they said their voltage was 12 volts on the 460 amp hour battery, but their watt hours was listed as 6,000. 12 times 460 is 5,520, not 6,000. You would have to have a little over 13 volts to reach 6,000 watt hours. Now go look at your battery readout. We have a C zone, so I'm showing you that. What do you see under voltage? Is it 12? No. 12.8? Not that either. 13? Still no. So now we have 12 volts, 12.8 volts, and various 13-volt readings. Which one is right? All of them, or none of them, or something in between. Remember, voltage fluctuates. So how many watts do you actually have? What do you multiply the amps by to get an accurate figure? My answer to that is a simple one. Who cares? You see, everyone leaves out a very important component to all of this: ohms. That's the resistance to the flow of energy, like a dam blocking the flow of water from the lake to the river. This resistance will take away some of your power before it reaches whatever appliance you're trying to use. How much does it take away? Oh, it all depends on how far the energy has to travel, like through all those wires in the van, and how much heat is produced, which is wasted energy not being used to power the appliance. There isn't an easy way for you or me to measure that with any real accuracy. So who cares how many watts you have, or amps, or what your battery voltage is? What I worry about is how long my AC is going to run when it's hot out. And that depends on even more factors that people don't consider, like how hot is hot? The hotter it is, the more power you need to run the AC. Is it a 120 volt or 12 volt AC? If it's 120 volt, you need the inverter on, using up power to convert 12 volts into 120 volts, which is power not being used to cool down the van. How much insulation do you have in that fan? If it isn't that great, a lot of that nice cool air is leaving your van trying to cool down the outside. So you need to run your AC at a lower temperature and for a longer period, using up battery power. What is the safety factor on your lithium batteries? This factor is used so you don't completely drain your batteries to zero, which could cause a lot of damage to your lithium batteries. Some manufacturers may use 10% while others use 15%. That means you have to figure out that safety factor and subtract it from the total watts to find your usable wattage. Now, I don't want to imply that knowing how many watts you have isn't of some use. It does show you your wattage compared to another battery system. So if someone has 5,000 watts of usable power and you have 10,000 watts of usable power, then you can safely say you have about twice as much power to start off with than they do. But remember, it does not tell you how long they or you will be able to power an appliance, like running the air conditioner. If they have superior insulation, or if they don't need their inverter on to power their AC while you do, then you're using far more power to do the same thing they are. So in effect, you don't have twice as much power as they do. You may still be able to run your AC for longer periods than they will, but it won't be twice as long. Knowing about watts, volts, and amps isn't worthless. These are good things to know. If you know how many usable watts you have to begin with and how many watts you're going to use to power an appliance, then you can estimate how long you can last between battery charges. Knowing what kind of system you have, be it 12 volt or 48 volt or whatever, is important. It helps you determine when you need the inverter on, which tells you about power consumption. And amps tells you about the battery you have and its storage capability, and helps you determine how long it may take to charge it back up to full power. None of these things are irrelevant, but knowing your power consumption, in my opinion, is more useful. It helps you determine how long you have between battery charges and how long you have before that AC is going to stop working. And in this heat, that's what we're really worried about, isn't it? Be seeing you.